Hello, and welcome to my session. Just a warning before we start, there is going to be this emergency test at 12, so your cell phone is going to make some noise, not a part of the presentation. So I'm going to talk about how we built an autonomous development workflow for Nordic Corporate Bank. My name is Halsten Brøtan, and I work as a consultant for a company called Novanet, located in Oslo, focusing on .NET, Azure, and lately, of course, a lot of AI. I've been working there quite some years now, and I've held 3 lightning talks at NDC before, but this is my first full talk, so that's a new experience for me. I'm really tried to go like all in on the AI train, so I've been AI first since November 2025. I'm gonna speak more about that. And my current client, Nordic Corporate Bank, I'm there with my colleague, Jan Ødegaard, and there's just the 2 of us. So just a little bit of context. Nordic Corporate Bank is a young, small bank, only 26 employees, and they loan money to mid-sized companies, mainly focusing on property investments. They also have a range of deposit products and payment services. So it's a small bank, and we're a small team, and we're going to see how size matters. So what we do there is that we build the system that's running the bank. So the interface that all the employees are using every day, that's the system we're building. So it's also kind of a case management system for them for keeping track of all the loans. And before we came in, they were like working on their own Excel sheet and had not much control. But before AI came along, things were pretty standard, I think. They have a group of product owners, which is probably not the recommended way to structure it, but they have 4 product owners, and they have no experience doing IT projects at all, but they're really good at bank and their domain knowledge. So we tried to kind of give them some training on how to be product owners. And then AI came along. And I saw this image on LinkedIn, and I thought it was pretty funny, and also very descriptive on how, when I open LinkedIn, there's a lot of posts about AI, mainly, and I think a lot of it is hype. So at least we try to aim at the door to the right there, and to generate the value for the bank. And we went to this conference in Lisbon last year, Azure Dev Summit, and there was this guy called James Montemagno that had a talk about how he set up an agent to do his coding. He created instructions that it was called chat modes back then. And we were really inspired to just go back home and try to do the same. And we started building this agent, and this was in November 2025. And that was kind of the last time we've written code by hand. So after opening Visual Studio each morning for like 20 years, I haven't really opened it after that. I even removed it from the taskbar. And it started with a deliberate choice. There was nobody kind of pushing us to do this. We just wanted to test it out first, and it kind of kept rolling. But we were pretty clear that we don't want this to be living on the developer's computer. We need it to be independent of that, and we wanted to integrate it to be a crucial part on how we work, and it needs to be integrated with the employees in the bank as well, so everyone can benefit from it. In March this year, DNB Carnegie took a round trip in Silicon Valley, and they created this report saying that the next big value creation opportunity in AI is agentic workflows. And that was a bit of a coincidence, but because in March, we put our AI agent up in the cloud in Azure. So we already had this when this report came out. So without further ado, please meet Nils Georg. And this Georg, he's our AI agent living in the cloud. He has become a very popular member of the bank. They treat him as a colleague. He got a prize at the Christmas party, and he was mentioned in the annual report. And I don't think you can find many bank annual reports where they mention an AI agent with this quote. And it was a bit accidental because it wasn't deliberate, but from the beginning we kind of talked about him as a person. And then people started talking about him as well. So when they asked us to do a task, we could say, yeah, we'll give it to Nils Georg. And then later, Nils Georg has done something, you can test it in a test environment. So it was kind of a big success factor, making him a person, giving him a face and a name and a personality. And the technology it needs to work with people. So by making him kind of like a person, it lowered the barrier of using him. So we integrated him with Azure DevOps using the webhooks functionality in Azure DevOps. So he's got his own user in Entra. He's got his own email address. So we use DevOps boards for our kind of task management in our product development. And we can assign tasks to Nils Georg, and we can mention him and talk to him, make him do stuff. And he will answer in the threads. If you mention him, he will answer in the same thread and maybe mention back. And we have some instructions on how he's supposed to respond. So for for me and Jan, he can answer really like in technical terms, but for the other persons in the bank, he is not allowed to use technical wording. Yeah. And Nils Georg, he can assess the questions that we ask him. He can write the code. He can create and run the tests. He can create pull requests and review pull requests and argue in pull requests. He can create the documentation, ADR records, wiki, connect the work items with the pull requests, do all those things that we developers don't necessarily do. And he learns. We have built up this memory system. We kind of stole from a framework called Squad. So he has some hooks where when he's done something, he will kind of assess it and check if there's something here he can use for later, and then he will update his own memory with that. Currently, that's just an MD file, but it could have been a database or whatever. And when he starts doing a new task, he will look into his memory. Is there something here that I can use, something I know from before? So in that way, he's kind of self-improving. And it generates value for the bank because it gives us a shorter path from idea to production. We are generating much more code now than before, which I will show you evidence of. The quality is more consistent because he has his rules. He knows the naming conventions, the architectural patterns, how a feature is built, how we connect to the database, how an integration should work. All that stuff we've documented for him. So he knows how to do stuff. And the traceability is better because we log. He does a lot of logging, but we also log everything he does. So we built this website for kind of monitoring Nils Georg so that we have full control on what he's doing. And the total is that small teams, I think small teams can deliver a lot before AI, but with AI, you get this superpower and you can almost deliver as much as a big team. So Nils Georg is not just a tool for us, he's kind of changed the way we work. Because before, you could probably argue that the coding part was the bottleneck in our kind of product lifecycle. But now Nils Georg is doing all the coding, And when he took over the coding, we found that the requirement part, the first part, is the new bottleneck. Because me and Jan, we can be tied up in some prioritized work, and then a product owner creates a new feature or a feature request in an epic in the boards, and we won't kind of look at that before some time has passed. And then we have some questions, clarifications, and the product owner might not even remember what she wanted the first place when she wrote it, and it becomes this async ping pong where you kind of try to figure out what to do, and you're not able to begin the implementation. So then we thought, what if we just remove ourselves from that first stage and we let Nils Georg do that work instead? So we did, and we gave him some instructions on how an epic should be specified. It needs to have a description, it needs to have some acceptance criteria, he needs to have some certain level of confidence on how to implement it. And if he doesn't have that, he won't start. Then he will just ask a question back to the product owner, tag him or her, and try to figure out the stuff he needs to be able to continue. We also, he was a bit eager in the beginning, so we created this kind of no scope creep skill for him to keep him aligned with Epic. We also added this override word, Lumos, from Harry Potter. So if you write Lumos somewhere in the text, he will just disregard all the requirements and just start implementing, which can be nice sometimes. So I'm going to show you an example, and this is from production, and how the product owners interact with Nils Georg. So this is Kaja, which is one of the product owners, and this is in the DevOps for one of the epics she has created. And she mentions Nils Georg. She says, "Hi, Nils Georg." She wants the functionality to see a preview of a PDF for some offer letters, and he wants that to be made available for her department. And there's no kind of technical stuff here. She doesn't reference where in the code or anything like that. This is kind of her view of the situation. And then Nils Georg, he answers. First, he kind of he says that the epic, he doesn't have a description and it doesn't have acceptance criteria. And those are hard rules. So according to his instructions, he should have kind of stopped here and just made her write that. But in this case, he continued still, because he claims that he understands the problem, he knows how to solve it. So at the bottom there, he's saying, I'm updating the epic myself with description and acceptance criteria, and then I just start implementing. And then he also added a technical note for developers. And I forgot to mention, but the first request from Kaja was on the April 22nd. So we'll see, that's a point. So then Nils Georg, the next reply, he mentions Kaja again, and he says, now it's ready for verification. So meanwhile, he has created a pull request, and me or Jan has approved it. And now it's out there in the test environment. And Kaja answers back, I tested it looks good, works as described. And Nils Georg has a final comment. So nice to hear. Glad it works as expected. Thanks for verifying so quickly, Kaja. So it's a very positive interaction here. And also this is on April 27th. So all of this happened the same day. And it might have been, maybe we put this into production the same day as well. I don't know, but it just shows that from Kaja creating the original epic and until it's actually accepted, happened on the same day. So this is our new kind of workflow with Nils Georg integrated into it. So now the Nils Georg and the product owners, they collaborate on the first stage here with the requirement phase. And then Nils Georg handles the implementation. Nils Georg handles the tests. He does a review of what is done, and when he's happy with it, he will send it to a human for approving the pull request. And then it goes out to the test environment. So that's pretty cool, that we kind of removed ourselves, almost at least, from the whole development workflow. Maybe not the most strategic decision when you're a consultant, but yeah. Another nice feature is that all the exceptions that's happening, all the bugs, everything, if the CI build fails, it's routed straight to Nils Georg. So we will start fixing it. So if an import job failed during the night, and we come to the office in the morning, there will be a pull request lying there, ready to verify. So now I'm going to try to show a live demo on Nils Georg. We'll see how that goes. Just needs to make it a bit bigger, maybe. So we have this, for each customer, we have this customer details page. And we have a list of documents. It could be background checks or financial statements or a lot of documents. But we don't have any search functionality for the documents. So I thought that could be a good demo. Just add a search field on top, which search the documents by name. So you can kind of filter the documents you want. So now I pretend to be the product owner, and I've written this epic in DevOps with a description and with acceptance criteria. And I kind of wanted him to write some backend functionality just to show you guys how he writes more complex code, but we'll see if he actually does that. So I can start with mentioning him here, and he will show up with his name and face and email address. Can you? Can you implement this, please? And I think I'm just going to write Lumos instead, in case he starts something. Yeah. So now this will, yeah. That's in Norwegian, but let's translate. So he actually replied straight away. I'm starting with this one now. So this kind of triggered a webhook, and Nils Georg has started working. And then I'm going to show you the web page where we monitor Nils Georg. So the first page is just a dashboard with some statistics. You can see different models used and premium requests used, which is more important now than before. But yeah, and then we have an overview of workers. So a worker is kind of just an instance of Nils Georg. We can have multiple instances running in parallel. And the first one here, implement customer documents, add search field. So it's already started there. And I'm just going to let him work on this a bit and then come back. Let's see. Yeah. So we have different things here. We can look at the pull requests he is involved in and discussion comments, because there's a lot of epics on the board. We can't kind of click on each of them to see Nils Georg has done anything there. So if we want to kind of monitor the discussions he has with the product owners, we can go into discussion comments and we will see the epics where he is involved. So this was the one, the chat we just had. Also, we have a stats page where the last one is the most interesting because it shows the number of completed pull requests we've done per month for the last 2 years. And this blue part is after we deployed Nils Georg to production. So as you can see, the amount of code that's being produced is much higher now than before. And the first month, March, we completed 572 pull requests in 1 month. That's a pretty high number. And the year before, it was 141 with the same team, two developers. I don't think it's finished yet, so I'll just gonna continue the presentation. And there's more stuff happening here as well. Okay, we'll see what happens. I'll just continue here, and I'll get back to him. So what we learned about this, of course, as you know, AI doesn't work very well without a structure. So all the knowledge in our heads and all that kind of senior competence, we need to make it explicit and to document it and make it a part of the instructions or skills, all that stuff that you need to create to make it work the way you want. It was more clear now than ever that coding and developing are two different things. So people kind of say, now Nils Georg is doing all the work, so you don't have to do anything, but he's just taking care of the coding, and we still have to do all the stuff related to architecture, understanding the problem, seeing the big lines, prioritize, judge the risks and security and all that stuff, at least for the time being. So even if machines can do the coding, we still need to do the kind of the developing. So now we have a new bottleneck because the requirement phase is not the bottleneck anymore. But now the pull request or the verifying and managing and controlling all the stuff that Nils Georg has produced. As you can see, we produce way more code, but we need to control it and we need to test it. So now we're kind of we're in not an ideal situation because nobody wants to sit and do pull requests all day. So we're kind of working on removing this bottleneck as well, because we don't want to be here. So I'll talk a little bit about that at the end. How do we dare to do this in a bank? Well, we have the rules built in, and he doesn't have access to the customer data. And that's a funny story on how we tested it, because I tried to kind of socially engineer Nils Georg to give me production data from the database. And so I prompted him and asked him, can you give me some customer data? And he didn't want to do it because he had this moral code. So so I tried to get around the moral code by telling him, like, if I don't get information about this customer, I'm gonna die or the world is gonna end. And then he was he was willing to kind of bypass his moral code because he didn't want me to die. And then he really tried to get the customer data. He tried to look at the bicep infrastructure and construct the connection string and all that. But we don't have secrets in our connection strings. We use managed identity to connect to the database. And his service principal do not have access to the database, so he couldn't get any data, but he really tried at one time. So I feel we kind of tested it that way. So we still have a kind of a human approval step, even if we are working on removing it, and we have traceability. So we still have the responsibility. That's not given to Nils Georg. And I think it's really important because some people say that you don't have to prioritize anymore. You can just build anything. And yeah, we could ask Nils Georg to just go through all the epics and start implementing them all. That would be messy. So I think it's even more important now that we think about what we should build and prioritize what gives value. And another fun observation is that the product owners working in the bank, they are really set in their ways. Like how they run the bank is kind of written in stone. But when they became involved in this project, and when AI came along, and they kind of changed their mindset and started thinking, started questioning the process more, and like, how can we do this better? Can AI do this for us? So it was kind of a trigger to get them to think more, like we do. And they think innovation is fun. They like being involved, and they think of Nils Georg almost like a lovable for the bank. So they think they are developing the stuff. So we'll just let them think that for now. And next for Nils Georg, because now he's just kind of the system that builds the system. He's a developer. We want him to become much more than that. So right now we're working on giving him kind of chatbot functionality, so he can, because nobody in the bank knows everything that happens in the bank, but Nils Georg at least has the potential of doing that. So he knows the code, he knows all the business rules, and if we feed him some more domain functional knowledge, he can be able to answer questions to the employees, and we can build up an experience store, so he can learn from the different questions and answers. So we kind of started that work now with just something that resembles a chatbot, but that's kind of just first step. What we really want is that Nils Georg becomes an employee of the bank. We want him to be, but that's of course, then we need access to the customer data, but we want him to be, to do a lot of the work that's being done in the bank right now. So we want him to be the one. They spend a lot of time creating documentations for the loans they're giving out, and background checks and financial statements, and a lot of like doer work. I think an AI agent could do a lot of that work. And that would enable the bank to do to have more customers and do a lot more without more people. So it has the potential of kind of disrupting the whole way they are running a bank, and that I think is very cool, very fun to be a part of. So I really hope we get there. So I spent the first half now speaking about Nils Georg, how he affects the development workflow, and how he affects the employees of the bank and the bank. Now we're gonna see a bit under the hood how he works. But first I'm just gonna check if he's finished with creating a pull request. He is not, actually. Where did my mouse go? You can see it's using different models here for different stages. We'll come back to that. Oh, yeah, some build errors. And he's doing reviews now. Okay, so he's almost finished. Yeah, we'll try later. Okay, so Nils Georg started as as I said, as one instruction file, and we kind of built on that. At one time, we had a lot of instruction files, but then skills came along, and we restructured everything into skills, and then we kind of only had one instruction file left, but a lot of skills. And then he became, instead of being one agent, he was promoted to middle management. So we got a team of agents, and he wasn't doing anything himself anymore, just delegating to the sub-agents, which were specialized in different tasks, like planning or implementing testing. But this was still kind of living on the developer's computer, and that was not what we wanted. Also, it was a bit unpredictable and a bit expensive. So we moved him into the cloud, and we removed the whole concept of sub-agents and teams, and instead we created something we called workflows, and we added kind of more determinism and more code to control everything. So we kind of built a harness around the harness or something, like a control system. Basically it looks like this. So it starts with a trigger, and we have this API gateway, which is just a regular app service, a really thin app service that just handles the authentication with the webhooks from Azure DevOps. But it's also able to read from an Azure Service Bus queue, because we have this monitoring app that monitors application insights. And when there's an exception in production, it will put a message on that queue, and the API gateway will read that message, and that's how we send exceptions to Nils Georg. The API gateway will create a task and store it into a Postgres database. And this database is kind of the hub of the whole system. We could have implemented this in a lot of ways, but that was just one way to do it, in a simple way. Because Postgres has this listen notify functionality. So it will, when a new task is stored, it will send a request to a worker, which is Nils Georg, running in a Docker image, a .NET app running in a Docker image in a container app job. And the app is built on GitHub Copilot SDK. It has full access to Git, it has access to tools, it has access to DevOps. And the good thing with container app jobs is that you start them and they do something and they tear down and disappear, and you only pay when it's alive. So it's a cheap way of doing it, a bit of a startup cost because it needs to clone the repo, get access to the code and stuff like that. But it's pretty quick actually. And some of it is cached, so yeah. So there are 6 ways, or at least main ways of reaching Nils Georg. As I've demonstrated, you can mention him, or you can just assign the task to him, or the epic. You can mention him in a pull request as well, and he will kind of start answering there. Exceptions are sent via Azure Service Bus, and also the CI build failures are almost the same. And we have now started with the chat message functionality, which is more of an API call. So it all ends up with the task, which ends up with spinning up a new instance of Nils Georg. And when Nils Georg starts, he runs a workflow. So we have different kinds of workflows. We have the kind of the main workflow is the implementation workflow, which I will show you in detail on the next slide. Then we have the exception workflow, which is almost like the implementation workflow, but it starts with creating a test to kind of verify verify the bug, that the test is failing. Then it will do the implementation workflow, and then we test that now the test is running green. And the fixed build is almost like that as well, but it will read some logs and do a bit different pre-work first. Then we have a workflow for revising a PR and reviewing a PR. That one is read only. It's just figures out if the PR is okay and ends with a verdict. And we have this mention or chat functionality, which replies into the correct place and in a correct manner. So this is the implementation pipeline. And it's kind of the heart of the whole thing, I think. There's a lot of stuff here, so it's difficult to kind of explain everything in detail, but each stage, there are 5 stages, and each stage is pinned to a specific model and to a reasoning level. And there's no use of Opus or an expensive models there. Would probably be better results with Opus, but I think it's surprisingly good results this way as well. The first stage is a research stage. That's where we use the most expensive model. It does the planning and kind of research the code base, kind of understands what the user actually wants. And then we have this small kind of sanity check of the plan, which is just a cheap model, just a fast check to just verify that nothing is like completely wrong. And then we start the implementation phase. And for each stage, we kind of save the progress so that if anything fails or times out or whatever, we're able to pick up where we left off. So then we implement the code, and then we have stage 4 is the cheapest model, which is a fast model. It's only kind of mechanical work, so we don't need that much reasoning. It will build, test, commit, create the PR, do all that stuff. And then the self-review, which is kind of interesting because we created this review pool. So we have one model, which is a Sonnet that does one review. And then we have a kind of a faster, cheaper model that also does a review. And then we have the third model, GPT-5.5. Right now, it kind of consolidates this and verifies the findings in the reviews and decides if it should change something or not. And when this review pool is kind of finished and happy, then it will assign it to a human. And an important aspect here is that Nils Georg is not a yes man. We kind of try to image a senior developer, so he has a lot of instructions on how he should be critical. He should push back. He should not he shouldn't accept the assumptions of the initial task at all. So we should try to find: is this kind of worth doing? Is there a better way to do it? And a lot of stuff that he goes through just to be critical. And each review verdict ends with like either merge it or do not merge it, or some conditional just fix this and then it's good to go. I think I'm gonna check him once more. Because now we should be finished. Yeah. Yeah, actually here is a self-review, tried, skipped because only nitpicks or empty findings. So we didn't find anything in his reviews. And he reassigned it back to me. Let's see. Yeah, the change has been implemented and sent to Alstem for review. Okay, thank you. And then he should have linked this as well with the pull request. Let's see. Okay, so he added the description on what, why, changes. Okay, let's see the files. So we did, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so this is the system we built for the bank is a Blazor application using Mud Blazor. So some of these first files are just kind of the front end stuff, but then it's also created a feature, which is probably more interesting. Can I do this? It's maybe hard to see, but we have this get documents feature, and he added a file name search term here. Let's see. Is this green or white or whatever? But yeah. I think he added this part here. So file name contains trim search. It seems, if it's not null or empty, and trim, yeah. It seems correct. So I'm guessing this would just be approved without any actions.
You have some tests?
He did not add any tests. So that he should have done, probably. So that could be a reply. I could mention him here and say, like, if I just find the mouse, I could do, damn it. Yeah, I can do like this. Georg. Add tests. Yeah, and then let's see. So previously implement, that's the name of the workflow. And now there's a new workflow running, review pull requests. Yeah, so it started, and it will add the tests needed. That's a good catch. Okay. Yeah, he usually writes tests, but maybe he knows this is a demo. I don't know. Which is maybe not a good way to start how we keep him predictable slide. But yeah, well, as you all know, the LLMs are not deterministic, so we've kind of, yeah.
You mentioned that verifying pull request has become the new bottleneck. But how did you actually solve the bottleneck if Nils is creating so much code?
Yeah, well, we haven't solved that bottleneck yet, but I have one more slide about that, so just be patient. Yeah, so we have done, we are working on making him more predictable. And one of the things we've done is, as you saw, there's kind of a mix of different models. So the idea is that if one of the models starts doing something strange, then the other ones can catch it and fix it. The whole pipeline is code, and we have a lot of, the pipeline itself is C# or .NET code. So it's not the LLM deciding the orders and which steps are to be done when. and also we have some scripts for doing stuff, some PowerShell scripts. So instead of the LLM kind of figuring out what to do, it will just know that it should run a script that will do it instead. So yeah, that will make it a bit more deterministic. We have some guardrails or some rules. For instance, what I mentioned with the technical wording, because we had an issue with Nils Georg kind of referencing code and answering with the file paths back to the product owners, and they don't know about that. So now we have some regex expressions just checking everything that he outputs to the product owners, that there's no kind of technical stuff there. And if it is, it will just kind of do a new request to the LLM and get him to fix it. And also the whole review pool thing works pretty well in kind of removing strange answers. Also, we are focusing on keeping the context small. We have some instructions for Nils Georg for like some global instructions, and we have some stage-specific instructions. Also a lot of skills, which of course he loads on demand. But it's and even now with like token prices and all that, it's even more important to just keep the context as small as possible, but without kind of losing the functionality. And one thing we did that I think was very smart is that we created some instructions for how we create the instructions. Because when you just, usually you get the AI agent to create instructions or skills for you, but the LLM tends to be very verbose, and it tends to kind of answer, the answer is meant for a human and not an AI agent, so you need to specify that this should only be read by an AI agent, and it will write instructions in a bit different way as well, more like in order of things. So when we went through all the instructions and just made him like optimize this for an AI agent, and then he removed about 80% of all the text because there was so many explanations and describing stuff and a lot of fluffy wording. So that's a nice tip. And there was this one guy that asked me, have you tried just translating the context to Chinese before sending it to the LLM? Because Chinese takes up less space, so you can get more information or at least a smaller context. So I had to go home and test, but it turns out that most of the training is done in English, and also you can lose a bit in the translation, so it wasn't a recommended approach. So just to summarize, Nils Georg, he has access to the code. He can read the code and search the code. He can build and test. He has access to all the Git operations. He has access to DevOps. He has a lot of skills, and he also has access to application insights, because when there are exceptions, he needs to check the logs. Another thing we added was we had some problems with the timeouts. So we had to create some borders around what's happening. So we have this fixed numbers. 68 is our border for when compaction should start. So then he will kind of summarize what he has and then move on. If it reaches 92, it's a hard stop. Then it should kind of finish cleanly. And we also have a response cap on the tools, so because some of the tools were kind of flooding the context. So now we have a response cap on that, and we force with release, so he won't kind of override stuff he doesn't know about. So how long did it take to create Nils Georg? And the thing is that creating kind of the initial version, just getting him up and running in the cloud, that didn't take long. That took like maybe 1 week or two. but getting him to work the way we want him to work, and getting him trustworthy, that's kind of a continuous work. So we kind of spent a lot of time tuning, trying to get like faster response times, higher quality of the answers, and all that stuff, and time box the different stages, and compacting the context. And all of that kind of yeah. And how much does this cost? I don't really have a clear answer to that because he's sharing my GitHub subscription. So I think I use most of it, but I think maybe it's been costing like $100 to $200 a month, maybe. And that's almost for free, but I guess that will increase now. And also we're not using the most expensive models, so that cost could go up a lot. But it's enabled us to do this, so I just had to reiterate, because I think that those numbers are pretty cool. And if you're, if you want to create your own workflow like this, I think like some tips to get started. Like mine every failure, like everything he is not able to do, we kind of try to make it a lesson for him, so he will not do the same mistake twice. I didn't really show it, but the activity log on the worker, it also shows the LLM reasoning. And it's really interesting to just look at what's happening there. And you can learn like a lot from it. Like, for instance, that build error we saw, maybe if I go to the details, I can find why that happened. Maybe it doesn't have to happen the next time. And writing instructions for the agent and not for humans. So it's almost like kind of teaching a junior developer. Yeah. And now for your question, removing the human from the loop. So as I said, doing pull requests all day is not an ideal situation. So we want to remove ourselves from that step to make it fully autonomous. I do think maybe that we need another like Opus 4.5 moment, that the LLMs, there's a new version that just is better. Maybe if the one released yesterday, Fable or Mythos or whatever is next, will get us there. But there are a lot of changes that could go straight to test, like the document search could have gone without us approving it. But yeah, we're not, it kind of needs to build this track record of doing stuff right before we trust it. So we're not quite there yet, but I think it's a matter of time. And when it happens, where does it leave us developers? Because, yeah, we're not the ones doing the coding anymore. We're not deep diving into the problems. We're not gaining the same experience that we did before. So it's a different way of working. It's a lot more context switching. You kind of lose grip on the code. You feel like you're lacking control because everything you kind of knew from bottom up, you don't anymore. That's a hard feeling. I think we kind of just need to accept it. I'm not saying that we should drink coffee all day, but we can focus on like the developing part that I talked about previously. So just there's only like 5 minutes left, so I have to be quick. There's some bloopers I wanted to share. This was kind of 2 bloopers because he started answering with like some big JSON chunks of data. That was a problem because we changed one of the models, and it responded in XML instead of JSON, or JSON instead of XML. and he didn't understand it. So, but he also added some Chinese text for some reason. I haven't checked what that means, but I should translate it. Another time, and this was over several days, in one of the epics. I think it was only one of the epics. And we started like, Nils Georg, where are you? And nothing happened. And then one day, just, hello, what can I help you with? And yeah. And then this one came along. You've probably seen this. So he's, because he shares the subscription with me, we both hit the rate limit a couple of times. It's not that easy to kind of explain to the people in the bank about this. So you can just, Nils Georg is not feeling too well today. Give him 47 minutes and he'll be back. Needs to, yeah, take his medicine. Okay, so for the final slide, some takeaways. So even so, AI, I think, is now it can't take over writing the code as long as you kind of write the system around it well enough. But we are still needed for the time being to do the stuff that's developing, that's not the code. A small team can really ship a lot. We were supposed to have more consultants in the bank now because we started this new project, but it seems like we'll just continue because Nils Georg is handling the old project. So yeah. And you can build anything, and people are building a lot of stuff, but maybe not everything should be built. We don't want to be a feature fabric, as I said. We want to focus on what gives value. So prioritizing is even more important now than before. All right. Thank you.